All right. Good evening. Good evening. You are listening and or will be watching Encouraging Your Spirit podcast. I am the host, Chris. Tonight, we're so excited because we have a guest as we continue our faith conversation series. Our guest tonight is Pastor Natasha Ellison, a native of Detroit, a graduate of Central Michigan University, currently residing in Charlotte, North Carolina. She serves as a pastor at Come Alive Outreach under Igniters United Alliance, where Bishop TJ Beverly is presiding prelate. She has served on the board of directors for Saving Her Elegance, which is a nonprofit organization that motivates and inspires women. She is the author of Fire for the Journey. She is the founder and CEO of Design for Destiny LLC, which is a coaching consulting company who specializes in helping others accomplish their goals and give birth to their purpose. Her passion is for others to step into their destiny, believe in themselves, and become their best. We're so excited and honored that she would join us tonight. As I said, we're doing Faith Conversations. It's a series where we talk to pastors, thinkers, ministry leaders in order to talk about how faith intersects life, ministry, and every part and every facet of who we are. So glad to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So we always start this series with asking if you had a superpower, what would yours be?
Boy.
Mix
My
it up, mix it up.
superpower. Whoa. I guess to show up wherever it is, I say, hey, I don't know, Hawaii, and I'm there.
You there? Okay, like bang, I'm in Hawaii. Maldives, whoop, I'm there. I got
Right.
it. That's good.
Instant manifestation.
There you go, instant. That would be good right there. That would be
Yeah.
good. That would be good. Yeah, I always pick the ability to X-ray vision because I like to be able to see and foresee things. I always think that would be really cool to see ahead of this, all the time. I don't know if it always feel good, but in my mind, I think that would be great.
You'll see a lot.
Yes, I believe it. The other thing we do is word association. So when I say these words, you say whatever it is that comes to mind. We just, icebreaker questions before we break into our questions. So if I say life, what word would you associate with that?
Every day, every minute.
Ministry.
Life.
Hope.
Eternal.
Shepherd.
Guide.
Faith.
Necessary.
Yeah, all right. And that leads to our first question. Thanks so much. What would you say faith is to you?
Faith is life.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Without faith, you can't do anything. You need faith to do everything.
Right.
And so when you don't have we can say you don't have faith, but it's not really that you don't have faith. It's not, you're just not aware, I believe, of what it is and how powerful faith is. Until you're in a situation in which you have to really use your faith. So faith is, I think, a life changer. It's a box breaker. It is a barrier breaker. It is true. I say it's deliverance. At the end of the day.
Right. So how have been some ways, what have been some ways that faith has been a barrier breaker for you?
Well, I moved down here on faith.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I sold all of the belongings that I had and moved here to Charlotte in 2009.
Okay.
I lived in Michigan all my life, but at that time I was about 30 something. Okay. And it was something new. I was so used to doing the same thing over and over again. And I said, I have to get out of this. I have to find myself. Because if I don't find myself, I will die out. And so I sold everything that I had, moved down here, didn't even look at the apartment.
Okay.
Until I got here. And then found out that the pool at the apartment was in the shape of a cross.
Really?
Yes. And the name of the apartment was Mission.
Really? Mission Apartments. Okay.
So I said, okay, I'm on a mission. Yes, I'm on a mission to find myself, to become my best, to be all that God has created me to be. And I had to come out of a place of familiar, because I love my family. I love all my friends and all those things that, that come. But I needed to find out who I really was. And that took me to a place I've never been. And I'm glad that I made the leap to get here to find out who I really am. Or I'm still finding out who I am each and every day.
Okay. That's good. And how have you seen God's goodness?
When he saved my life from being almost, I probably would have been, the accident I had in 2018. I had a car accident that totaled my car.
Okay.
And it blindsided me. It was like the car came off the side of the road, and it tore my whole front end up. And it could have turned into something, I guess not so favorable, but I thank God for being there, for his goodness, for always being good to me. Even when it looked like a bad situation, it's still good. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so it was good for me because, I was still able to get another vehicle without having to really lose anything. And it was something I really wanted. Okay. So I had said the other day, I think it was like maybe weeks before it happened, I want an SUV, a small SUV. Didn't know what I had to go through.
Right. That part, how you get to the SUV. Don't worry.
Right.
That part.
But the goodness of God, sometimes we just don't know what that process may look like. When we say we desire something, but God is always good in all situations, no matter what it looks like. Right. And I'm grateful for that.
And what would be your best advice for navigating? Because you bring up a great point when you talk about the process and how, well, in that particular case, I could see process in the fact that you wanted to leave a place that was familiar. So you left Michigan and you moved, to Charlotte, and then you said, your accident, as far as the car accident, praise God, you came through healthy, but it was a process as far as getting another car, just a process in general in life. So what advice would you give others about navigating, the process of life or process of faith?
Don't give up in the process, because the process is to push you. It is to help you to find yourself and walk away from anything that is not you.
Right.
It also reveals who you really are. Right. The strength in which you possess. Because we all are created in the image and likeness of God. And so the image and likeness comes really through in the middle of that process. Right. Even when sometimes sometimes we get so caught up in the process that we don't even see what it is that we need to be seeing, or we're not really learning. We're just learning how to handle the situation or the challenge. Right. We get so caught up in that, and then that challenge becomes our life. Right. And so, I know it's easier said than done. Yes, we're going to have things, we're going to have downfalls. Yes, we're going to feel like giving up. Yes, those things happen, but we got to learn that we have the ability and the power to endure. We have everything in us to continue to climb. Right. We cannot give up, because people are watching us and people need us. We all need each other. Right. At the end of the day.
That is true. And you brought up something else. So I was thinking about how there's no way to live through life without pain. I know the idea or fairy tale or fantasy or the hope, everybody wants everything to be joyous and peaceful and excellent and wonderful 365, 24/7, but that's not necessarily anybody's life. So what is something good that you feel has come from pain?
Well, what is something good that has come from pain? Oh my God. Well, was working a job of 13 years. And I did it so, I mean, like I was so like, oh, I'm growing, and I was moving up in the company, and was, doing this. And then sometimes you could become comfortable and not really want to make any moves because this is what you think, this is the only thing you think you know how to do, or whatever may be. And so what happened was there was a change that happened up top, which caused a major shift, not just for me, but for other people. And so it put me in a situation I had never been in before, which was unemployed.
Okay, laid off.
And
no longer
so,
yeah. Okay.
Yes. And so in that time of being unemployed, the Lord said, now, I mean, the things that I had did, I guess, while I was employed, I understood like, hey, people said, oh, I'm starting to go back to school because you helped me to see something different, or I'm starting to do this, or I'm starting to do my business because you helped me to understand that I have the tools that I need. And I'm like, okay, well, what does this mean? And so out of all of that, and me being unemployed, birthed Design for Destiny, because Design for Destiny came in a place where I said, okay, I got to start doing, I mean, not saying I wasn't doing purpose before, but I'm saying really start doing what it is I should be doing now. And it happened right after I lost my job. Then, and I established the LLC and everything. And so since 2015, it's been established. But yeah, it birthed something in me, and it's still, I'm still growing today. So the business can even become better. You know, and so I can be better for my clients, and we all learn from each other. So
that is awesome. Now I know what you do, Design for Destiny, and we talked earlier about Come Alive. There's Come Alive outreach. So that leads to my question of what's it like to lead a ministry?
Interesting.
Okay, interesting. Share more. What are the best lessons that you learned? Or are there any lessons that no one told you about that you were gonna learn?
Oh, being consistent.
Okay.
Consistency is everything, because you don't. So my ministry is not very traditional. We don't have church services every single Sunday. So there are people that are connected in the ministry that are not even in just the United States. So it's, people are watching all over the place. And so when you remain consistent, you'll start seeing other, people growing. Because of your consistency of praying and doing the lives, as far as the Ignite classes and the 222 that we do on Saturday and stuff like that, and actually going out of community and helping. People's lives are being shifted and changed when you are consistent and not and doing it for the right reasons. You're doing what it is because God has created you and positioned you and chosen you to do something, and to bring his heart to the people. It's different when you're just doing it as whatever, and you're trying to do it for other types of reasons. It's not really genuine. But consistency is everything. There's times I did want to give up.
I mean, I can understand giving up, because I often think that ministry is it's an experience that you learn so many lessons, and there's so many things that you don't know, and then there's also the growth of growing you yourself, and then you're reaching out and caring and shepherding other individuals. And so there's all of that experiences, and there's so many things that you can't necessarily be taught. It's more things that you learn along the way. And I think oftentimes one of the challenges that you see is we often see, like, and I don't mean this like in any negative connotation, but you often see other ministries. It doesn't matter which one, but we see them at their height. So you see just what it is, when there are lots of people, and not just a number of people, but you see it. And then it's like, but there's so many parts of it that you don't see. So you never saw it before, it was at whatever level it is at this moment. So sometimes there's that, because sometimes people measure themselves, and not just in ministry. I think in life, I was thinking today about how we measure ourselves based on what we see in others, but we're only seeing a part of others. We're not seeing the whole part. There's things that we may or may not know, and that are, as well as that aren't for us to know. So it's like, and then you think about like people, and how I was thinking how I met so many people when I was doing retail work in Barnes and Noble, and I'm just selling books. And it's interesting too to meet people that have been wounded by church, and they already have this preconceived notion of what church is, what it is when you say, you're a minister or you're a spiritual leader, or just what they think of it, period. So what would be your advice about navigating or at least talking with others when they're already scarred and wounded and you weren't the individual that caused the harm? What would your advice or insight be on
that? Present something different.
Okay.
Right. And not in a way in which is, like I said, deceptive, but really be genuine. It goes back for us to know why it is, why we have to go back to the drawing board about why we do what we do.
Right.
What is our reason and our purpose? Why are we doing it? So we cannot continue on the same stuff that has already been given. Like, we can't continue to give, because religion religion does that, and it's continued and it's brought down from generation to generation. But somebody has to be willing to do something different.
Right.
And so must allow God's love to supersede our religious ways and the things that we deem to be as if it was God.
Right.
We must be willing to surrender those particular things, but that takes us to a place we must surrender our hearts. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Hello.
Wants it, and how we will start to see change. You know what I'm saying? And not just change in individuals, but within us. It has to happen in us first before we're able to bring that to somebody else. And so we got to understand that, once again, sometimes we can put our trust in people, and that's what happens. A lot of people, put their whole trust in men and not really and make them the idol.
Right.
And so, and that's what happens with a lot of individuals, as well as we got to understand it's not the church as a collective. It is the local assembly.
Right.
It's not everybody, because everybody doesn't have, where, and I'm not, please don't take this any type of way, but where there is good, there's also something else. There's opposite.
There
the opposite is always there. Where there's real, there's fake. Yes. So you got to understand what it is. It's going to be out here, but it's all about finding what it is that, or connecting that is really God's love.
Right. Which I think is what makes authenticity important. Because oftentimes what I've seen people, are looking for is real and true. And it doesn't necessarily, real doesn't mean perfect. Real does not mean, any negative connotation. Real just means real. Real means consistency.
Yeah.
Real means, because I can think of like examples of an example that comes up in my mind, spirit, and I'm thinking like realness. I remember my wife and I had moved here to Champaign, Illinois, and it was, the experience of I had gotten accepted a position at the university, and she was experiencing, health challenges. And we had found a church, because we had come from an affirming, ministry church. That was the experience. I had worked in ministry there and attended there and grown there even before I knew her. And then when we were together and she lived there with me before we were married and stuff, she went to that same church. And so we're moving here. So now you're in Illinois, you're in that whole experience of finding another space and place to worship. And so then you're like trying to figure out, okay, where will you go? Where will you go to church at? And that in itself was a whole experience of trying to find a place. And so we were attending this United Methodist Church. And I remember meeting the pastor of that church, And we would always be upfront about who we are, because Renee was like, they're not gonna think that, you're my roommate or I'm your special friend. You know how they do. You know how churches do. So she would always introduce us everywhere as married couple. It didn't matter. Baptist church, they know we're married. It didn't matter. She didn't mince words with that. So it's like the reason I bring up real is because I remember we had joined and we're going to church, and then like I said, she had health challenges and she was having surgery. And when I told the pastor about it, I just thought, because my previous experience, even though we were here and we had joined the church, I had contacted the pastor, and I just didn't like the conversation and stuff like that. But I mean, she was helpful, but it kind of felt afterthought. So in my spirit, it was kind of like, I'll tell the pastor that we're going she's having his surgery, but I don't have any real expectations because of the issues that I had already experienced. But I bring real because it really really got to me when all I was expecting him to do is maybe call, maybe send a text message, maybe send an email. But we get to the hospital because you got to get there early in the morning or whatever to check in, and he's walking across the parking lot calling my name. That was everything to me because it represented I wanted somebody to be there. Maybe I had said that, but it showed me that some leaders do more than just send you a text message or send. And I understand that was all that he could do, but it was his presence that showed me real. But it also was helpful to me because I remember when I was going, to that church and we hadn't joined yet, and he would always come and find me, and he would, look me in my face and tell me, you are safe here. Now that was everything to me because you don't ever know where you can go. And at least I knew that when, he was there, because, as pastors, the different denominational, sometimes you get sent other places, which that later happened. But I do remember the realness of how it felt to be, you're getting ready to go to the surgery and he's there coming across the parking lot. He walked in, and you can say on some level, yeah, that's what a pastor is supposed to do. But it felt like, no, he's that way for everyone. It came from not just this is my job or this is what's required, but to what this is who I am. This is the realness. And I think at the space and place I was at during that time, and that was, several years ago, that was 2014, that was what I needed to see. And I think people want to see that. They want to see that, when you say, they'll know that we're Christian by love, they want to see the love that you say. So if I'm in a real situation, they don't necessarily want judgment. They just want I love. Love means I'm gonna be present with you, regardless of whatever you do or say. I'm gonna, that's what love is to me. Love is unconditional. Love is that you show up to people. Now, as far as correction, my beliefs on correction are I can't correct you unless we have a relationship. Because if we don't have a relationship, it'll just come across as criticism. That's just my That's another show.
I mean,
it's like, you can, but but I just think oftentimes people are looking for that. And I was also amazed too here in Illinois about how many people are doing, even before COVID, just doing small groups at their house. They were like, I went to the church, but or I'm just not there. I just want to read the Bible at home, or I just want to read this at home. They just seem disconnected from the space, or they'll say like, well, people say these words, but I don't know if that's true. And just that willingness to want to, reach out and build relationships. Sometimes people they that can be lost in translation or hit or miss sometimes. So that's all.
I think people are waiting for when you're saying that, far as people doing it from home, and it's like they're waiting for something more. They're, it's a waiting for something more than what has been given. So
right. What's the best thing that you think that could happen to you in this season of your life?
The best thing? Woo! And this is, I mean, I don't say this is far-fetched. Just you talking about just anything?
Anything.
Boy, because I got so many things.
Go with it. It's fine. We got time.
I mean, I guess for my investments to go off the charts, because I invest as well. Okay. So I mean, I go off the charts to be able to, you know, retire early. That's something I want to do.
Okay.
And then, you know, eventually find, you know, be where I need to be as far as my love life and everything else that comes with that. Those are things that I do desire that I know that God has already provided for me. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for both of those things to take off.
Okay.
I think that would probably be the best when they are both aligned and ready to go, you know, and yeah. And I don't want to work too hard.
Okay, but that's good. Because the other day you posted, which you glad you said alignment, because that was going to be a question I was asking you. You posted on your page about good day. There's clarity in alignment. What does that mean to you? Because you're talking about alignment. So
yeah. So that thought came to my mind because something just took place. One of somebody that's close to me, they came and they did some things in my home, and they made some adjustments in my home. And with that, the doors were wider, like because she just removed a couple of things off my door. And it seems like there was like the door just seemed like the way just seemed very clear and open. And it was because some things need to be put in the right places and spaces. Right. Sometimes we can have things in the way of our vision because of what it is that we are, I guess, focusing on or not focusing on, and it causes us to be cloudy in our vision. It causes us to be offbeat. We're not moving in the right step. You can tell we're out of balance. And so when I saw that door open and I had more than enough room to move through and it was clear, it was a clear path. I said, it's because the things that I had on that door was in the way, but when they were removed and put in the right space and place and where they were supposed to be, there was a clear path. Okay. And so we got a responsibility for our own alignment.
Right. Yeah. Alignment is important. We can be off balance in many ways.
Yeah.
Are there any tips that you have on how to get in alignment? I mean, I know that's an example of a room or space, but if we look at we are rooms and spaces, then what advice would you give in that context?
So I think alignment has everything to do with your mind at the end of the day. If we say we believe the scripture, you know, let this mind be in you that's also in Christ Jesus, and also about renewing our minds on the daily and not conforming to patterns, because patterns are like cycles and things in nature that keep us out of alignment. And so it's not people that are creating it, we are creating. Right. And so when we understand that we create these patterns and some of them are even toxic. Not every pattern is you know, something that is beneficial for our lives, but we create patterns when we in some relationships. We create patterns in how we, you know, react to certain things. When you notice that particular thing, you deal with the root of it. Right. Not the symptom, but the root. And then so that is a lot of personal work. It is personal work. So renewing your mind on a daily, every minute, every hour is personal work. When you start speaking out of, I don't have enough, and then wait a minute, you come back and think about, wait a minute, I'm speaking, I got to understand that I'm the image and likeness of God. So I have to be speaking something else. I can't say that I don't have when I do. Right. I have everything that I need. Right. And so when you recognize that you're saying something different than what was clearly that's clearly not the case, then you'll start changing that. But that, like I said, that happens over time, you know what I'm saying, as you continue to mature. For me, I mean, I listen to a lot of motivational. I got to stay in a place of motivational speaking like Les Brown and who's the other? John Maxwell and Zig Ziglar. Those individuals, as well as scriptures, things that that help me. Let this, to continue to move by faith and not by sight, and those particular things that I have to remind myself.
Right.
And then that you're not in this by yourself. When you understand that you're not alone, that's huge. You know what I'm saying? And then have a good support system.
Yeah.
You definitely want to make sure you have a good support system. Because I have mentor. My bishop is my mentor. And so you want to make sure that you have people that understand where it is you're going and where you need to go.
Right.
And I think that's huge, having a good support system as well.
Okay. That is good. One thing we didn't talk about, but I meant to, you wrote a book.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the title of that book?
It is Fire for the Journey.
Fire for the Journey. So what was that process like for you?
Woo. Well,
how long did it take as far as like writing the process?
So this book was supposed to be produced in 2016. It had been sitting in my computer because I didn't believe in myself.
Okay. That's okay. All right.
It was procrastination. And so I had a major push in my spirit to get it done because I'm like, okay, this is needed for now. It's needed really for now. It's about changing your mindset. It's about thinking on things that are going to cause you to be fruitful and producing the right fruit and multiplying the right things. So it started in 2013 all the way up to 2019. So I had more to add to it.
Okay.
That's why I couldn't produce it or publish it in 2016. Right. So it has been sitting, like I said, from 2013 up to 2019 of sayings that I feel led to say that are actually, they're also posted on Facebook. So a lot of things that I posted on Facebook is a lot in this book.
Okay, that's good.
So the Lord said, hey, go ahead and do this. So I said, all right. And I'm like, look, this is way out my comfort zone. I don't, right. This is beyond, the world is going to see, what I'm saying? So it was a good, I really thank God for the people that I had helping me with this, because I don't, I knew nothing about producing or not producing, but publishing a book. Right. One of my friends, she published a book and she led me to her publisher, and her publisher really helped me out and helping guide me. I had my transcript ready, and that it really didn't take long, because really I was supposed to launch this at the end of August of this month. Okay. And actually, she completed it in June. Okay. And I got it started in April.
Well, that's good.
That's good. Yeah. Good. So it actually it was published pretty quickly, and the artist that created the cover of my book, he moved pretty quickly as well. So they both worked together to make sure that this went out quickly. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I never thought I would ever produce or create a book in my whole lifetime.
Hey, believing in yourself, that's lessons of stepping out on faith, that, stretching yourself, moving in areas in which, you never saw this yourself to do that. So that's always good things that I believe, we should do. Because I was sharing with a good friend of mine the other day, I just started this research fellowship. And I was like, one of the things that's been challenging is believing in yourself to produce deliverables. Now, I just produce deliverables all the time for work because, I did tenure track until I made tenure in the library, and then I got in the PhD program. And so I was like, yeah, I am producing deliverables and things like that. But then it just seemed like for this research fellowship, it just seemed like it was, I felt like I was comparing myself with the other person, even though we're not competing. They hired both of us.
That was my problem.
Right. And I can remember having this, conversation. I'm driving to the grocery store and I'm like, telling Abba, that's what I got anyway. I was like, I got to keep deliverables, and I just feel like such an imposter, like I'm a fraud because I'm, I got to do this and I got to do that, and I don't know how to get it done. And then, I don't think, I know, not that I don't think I went on about my business, but I can remember later, I was doing something else and the conversation came back up in my spirit and it was like, I want you to break down for me imposter because wasn't that you that was doing all the papers before? That was you. So and then it was like lists of all the work. It's like those are all your citations that you were doing this work. Some of them was teamwork, some of them was individual, but none of it was fake. So it was like, why compare yourself, to another person when no one's asking you to be anybody else? And I think lately I've been thinking about that. I was listening to a video today as part of this cohort that I'm in, and it was Eric Thomas and powerful statements that he was saying. I was thinking about that, about how nobody really is asking us whether we're writing a book or in ministry or in any area of our life. Nobody is asking us to be like other people. Being exactly who we are is really the only thing that we're supposed to do. It's totally fine, because I liked how Eric Thomas was saying that when he was doing PhD, one of the advisors was talking about how his wasn't like somebody else's, and so he went to the library and read different ones to find something that he felt comfortable with producing and that he could do. And I was thinking that's the same thing in most life. The only person worth being is you, but it takes us a long time to figure that out, to find that out, and to get comfortable in being who we are and delivering that and being that in whatever area of space that we're doing that in, no matter what the job or the assignment is, just being ourselves and believing that it's okay to be ourselves. And I just think about that, often. What advice would you give future ministry leaders or just everyday people in daily life? What advice would you give?
Like you said, be your authentic self.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's only one you.
Right.
And you can never be, you can be replicated, but they can never be you.
Right.
We are all our own individual. I think if we really embrace who we are, we could do some great, powerful things, and we wouldn't even have time to sit up here and talk about each other and, try to figure out, we could really be a good unified people if we really embraced who we were and we really knew who we were.
Right.
And so, unification, I mean, it's powerful, especially when that you may be the foot or you may be the hand or you may be the, do the best that you can or what it is that you've been created to do. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, just be your authentic self. Because like I said, there's no other Pastor Chris, there's no other Pastor Natasha, there's no other person like me or you or anybody. Right.
Last question. What do you want others to gain from your life?
To always look at the good.
Okay.
I had to learn that.
Okay. How'd you go about that?
I really had to learn. I'm still learning it.
Okay. In this process. Okay. Support.
Always look at the good, because sometimes we can say, I don't want, and then we get the very thing we say we don't want.
Right. Because we're calling it to the universe answers us. Yeah. Yeah, because that brings up an interesting story, because there was one time I manifested a light bill. I know we get light bills. I know we do, but they weren't thinking about me. But I kept worrying about it, and then it finally showed up. And I was like, man, but I was the one that was thinking about it. But and it's not just light bills. It's a lot of things I think we can manifest with our words. With our words have power that's negative or positive. If you're manifesting, what this negative emotion means or negative experience is, or what you think about the experience. Because you mentioned earlier about patterns and our patterns in relationships, and I was thinking about the time that I remember having the same experience in relationships over and over again, and my prayer was like, okay, but show me me. And I remember telling a good friend of mine, Apostle Wallace, Anton Wallace, I was telling him how when I went back and looked at the situation and was able to see it, some of the stories that I had been narrating never happened. That was not the way that it was, or sometimes it was me. So it's like I've learned that individuals, we're complex individuals. We're both the victim and the villain. Like I was telling another friend, we were talking about it, I was like, people are complex. And I was saying, you know, what I've learned about myself is sometimes I have been the villain in people's stories. My bad. So that in their throat that they have when they say my name, I understand. Because depending on where you met me at, that's true. I'm not saying that I was right. And yes, there have been times when I have definitely tried to make amends or at least apologize and go back and say those, you know, say those things. And sometimes just because you're able to apologize does not mean that any of those relationships have been able to be reconciled. Because I think, you know, forgiveness, yes, but forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation of relationships. There's very real reasons why people can't do that or why that wasn't done. But it's just in thinking about our patterns of who we are and who we've been as we grow. Because I believe that the renewing of our mind is a continuous process, like you're saying, daily, or as a good friend of mine said, moment to moment, millisecond to millisecond. You know, we're constantly, you know, evolving, and who we were at one point is not necessarily who we are right now, or how we're constantly changing. And I think that's all. Growth is a part of the process. No one said it was going to be easy, but
you're right.
It's going to happen. Change is inevitable. That's why the elders will say that growth is optional.
Yeah.
But I thank you so much for taking time to come and be on the show tonight. It's been wonderful to catch up with you and to ask you these questions. Thank you for being a part of our series. We're going to end our recording. Before we go though, before I hit in, how can people, individuals, reach out to you? You can put your handle, social media.
Okay, well, I can also be reached on through Facebook. For my coaching is Designed for Destiny. Designed is spelled with a Z.
Okay.
And the number 4 and then Destiny. I can also be reached through Facebook once again.
Okay.
Under Natasha Ellison. That is my actual personal page, as well as through Igniters United Alliance, which is our ministry page. The other way is through, I'm not really on there that much, so I'm not going to tell. It's Instagram, but I'm really not on there.
Okay, no worries. And definitely, I will put in the link for the actual podcast when it launches tomorrow. So sprout your some of your links in there, so they can click on that, and your book link as well, so they can go to that too.
Yes, you can actually find the book. Fire for the Journey on Amazon.
Okay.
It is on Amazon for everybody to purchase.
All right. Well, I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stop recording.